Hey guys, I haven't shot a martial art video in about maybe a month, and I got really busy with work, and I've been thinking about my martial art journey. Um, you know, for almost 20 years, I've been training, coaching, and instructing in a very small town, upstate New York. Um, I started my gym in Clyde, New York, and then I moved to North Ross, New York, and it got shut down during COVID and it never recovered. And so for the last year and a half, I've been teaching at other people's gym and stuff like that. And it's very hard, like you develop a certain way of doing things, certain style, certain culture. And, martial art is part of me. I just turned 52 last week. And I started martial art when I was 21. And it became part of me. I started in Muay Thai, then at 27 started doing judo, then at 28 Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and then in 2004 I moved up to upstate New York to a small little town, and I couldn't, I wanted to continue my martial art training, and by then I already had over 10 years of martial art training, and I didn't want to drive an hour to Rochester or Syracuse. And then on top of that, I wasn't making enough money. And the vibe, a lot of the gyms, the vibe wasn't right, and so I ended up just doing my own thing. And I got really good at it. My students were ranked number one, six, seven, etc. In amateur MMA, I coached one of my students from the ground up all the way to pro level. I mean, he even fought Kevin Van Noström, a last minute fight on a 72-hour notice. He fought guys who later on fought in Bellator. I went to a decision. My pro debut fighter, amateur pro debut fighter, he fought this guy and he was in Bellator and gave the guy, he went to a decision and it was a beating. Anyways, I want to talk about like just running a martial arts school and the culture, and just really tough running a martial arts school in a small town. And I think back on my journey, and people don't know how much sacrifice as a coach, as a martial art instructor, boxing coach, jiu-jitsu coach, Muay Thai coach, and to a certain extent MMA coach. I'm in a small town, and I had to do everything. I had to recruit sparring partners for my fighter. I would stay for an extra 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours extra to train my fighters after class was over. I would train them on the weekends, 2, 3, 4 hours, and they only paid me like 135, $160. Just before my gym closed, I had to raise the tuition to $160 a month. But I was teaching them 3 days a week, and then if you're getting ready for fights, I would even coach you outside of classroom time. And when I was training my fighters to fight, they would train with me an average of 18 to 20 hours a week. That's how crazy it was. Anyways, you know, I think one thing that makes, I wouldn't say what I do unique, but I started in traditional martial art, Muay Thai, then Judo, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Kyokushinkai Karate, bare knuckle karate. I also have a ranking in Kudo. This is Kudo, right? And KUDO. And I also have ranking in Filipino martial art, full contact karate, stuff like that. And it's kind of weird. Like I train my students to fight MMA and kickboxing, but I try to teach them Budo. I try to teach them the concept of loyalty, honor, respect. I try to teach them, when I train you to fight, I don't just train you to fight. I train you how to think about life and philosophy and ponder. And, there's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Some students come to me because they just want to learn how to fight, and other students soak it all in. This weekend, for example, I told one of my students, hey, this is my last class here. Um, you know, um, there's not enough students, so I'm being let go. And I might come back in the fall, right? Because summertime, membership drop. And this student, instead of like learning from me, wanted to go off to the side to hit the punching bag. And I didn't say anything. And I'm thinking, today's my last class. And I want to teach you stuff. I want to teach you how to like defend yourself against a haymaker, overhand, Last week, I taught this female students how to, use a pencil or a shank and how to defend herself. I teach stuff that usually is not taught in a typical martial arts setting. It's years and years of thinking, strategizing, observing, and going to different seminars and training with different instructors. And he didn't get it. I mean, later on he got it and he started training with me on my last day of training, and I taught him how to like pummel from the ground position, etc. These are some of my black belts, right? And I want to talk about the significance of it. In Japanese, it's called koro, right? Means black. And this one is really significant because it was given to me by Azuma Sensei, Kencho Joko Azuma. He's the founder of Kudo. And when I discovered Kudo back, I think in 2006, I was like, everything they're doing is what I wanted to do. It's just that he was so ahead of me, right? And when I contacted them about joining the organization, it was like finding a lost cousin because everything they were doing, I was doing. They were striking, grappling, clinch work, judo throw, headbutt, etc. Now, obviously, I wasn't getting into the headbutt stuff, but it was like finding a cousin, a distant cousin. And this belt is very significant to me because it's written in kanji or hanzi in Chinese, and it has my Chinese name on it, right? And so it's very, very significant to me. And Jakujo Azuma wrote an article about me, and he said I had a fighting spirit. I fought guys who were twice my size, and I didn't give up. I stood toe to toe, and it was an honor. He wrote it in his memo log. I think when they travel to give seminars and stuff, to justify the traveling costs, they had to write a memo. So it was a huge honor, and I got to examine in front of him, and then I also helped out with the grading, and I got to spar in front of him again just before he passed away. And I only given up one black belt in my martial art journey because I'm developing a system of fighting and thinking. And this student, his name is Evander Russ. He's the only student I gave a black belt to. And he represented my idea of martial artists, what fighting is, And at first I was very insecure. I was like, do I have the right to give up my own style of martial art? But then he fought for me like 16 times. He won a whole bunch of MMA belts and stuff and kickboxing. And I thought to myself, I've seen other style where they give up black belt for candy. And here I am getting so insecure about giving a black belt to a student who was loyal to me for almost 7-8 years, And so far, I've only given out one black belt. I have not given any brown belt. I have not given out any purple belt. I've given out one blue belt, maybe 2 blue belts in my style of karate, right? But Evander is the only student who has a black belt in my style of fighting, right? And my style of fighting involves punching, kicking, throwing, and I taught Evander how to fight with knives and sticks and stuff, And I honestly believe that their journey is going to be much different than mine. I'm very cerebral, but teaching in a small town in upstate New York is very, very difficult, and people don't understand the amount of time invested. I mean, I trained fighters where they weren't even paying me tuition, and I had to give them gas money. I had to drive them around. I stayed after class many, many hours just training them to fight, and there's no sense of how do you say it? It's kind of sad. They didn't understand what I was trying to teach them. I have this funny saying, I can train military law enforcement to fight in 6 months, but that's not my goal. My goal is to train people to understand martial art, like the way I understand martial art. I'm 52 now, and I'm going to restart my journey. I'm going to be more of a Ronin. I'm going to travel around and drop by different BJJ gyms to train. My goal is to get a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I started in 2001, and because I ran my own MMA gym and I didn't have the money to affiliate with anyone, I'm kind of stuck in my own little time warp. So, for example, I was a blue belt for over 6 years, and now I'm a purple belt 3 stripes for almost 8 years. You know what I mean? And my understanding of fighting is uniquely my own. Fighting against the fence, clinch work. I have a black belt in the Filipino knife edge weapon, so I have blend that in also. And I was very lucky to train with a judo instructor who's a former Iranian wrestling champ. So my understanding of judo is kind of unique. And then I had to like teach people how to fight in the cage using the judo and the wrestling I knew. So my judo and wrestling is kind of uniquely my own way of doing things, and I'm very lucky in that way. Like I have like a wide range. I'm a generalist, but I know how to be specific during the time of chaos. I know how to like zoom in. I want to talk about this other belt here, right here, this belt. So this is really faded, but this is the first black belt I worn when I got my black belt given to me by Sensei Muhammad. He personally gave me a black belt in judo, and then about 4 years later, I officially got my black belt through the United States Judo Association. But Muhammad personally gave a black belt in judo, and in judo, the instructor cannot give up black belt; only the organization can. So about 4 years later, I got my judo black belt. But one thing I want to talk about judo black belt is kind of unique. If you notice, they don't have the gold bar, or in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the red tab with the white stripe. And I really like that. Right now, I'm wearing like a black belt with nothing on it, and it's to reflect my root in judo. I love judo so much. Like Jigoro Kano represent the understanding of judo. Judo is the mother of modern day grappling. Out of judo came catch wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Sambo. And I love judo because you can go to a judo club and everyone wear black belts, and you can't tell what rank they are, right? Maybe by how faded they are, right? Because everyone just wear black belt. You don't even know if that's first degree, second degree, third degree, etc. I think by fifth degree, you're allowed to wear, it's called the candy cane. It's the red and white, red, white. You know what I mean? And only people, they only wear that during ceremony or for special occasion. But even the 7th or 8th degree black belt, by the time you're 8th degree, you're probably 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. You have bad knees. So you don't even put on a regular belt. You just put on kind of like the red, like the candy stripe belt, just to teach and stuff. But I really appreciate judo black belt because there's no stripes on it. But anyways, I was cleaning my gym today and I stumbled onto this belt, so I wanted to shoot a video talking about my journey. Like it's a there's a saying, like there's a season for everything. So this is like my first time in a long time. I'm not coaching or teaching anyone, and so I'm focusing on my career. I'm building several AI apps. I'm trying to get my career to the next level. For almost 20 years, I was underemployed, but I never stopped coaching and training people to compete, and it took away a lot of my time and my family, and even my personal life. Because I loved it so much. But it's kind of sad that I'm where I'm at now, where I feel like I'm alone. But please follow the link. I'm gonna have it in my comment section or in my description. I'm launching a new AI web app that has to do with martial art. All right. And it has to deal with the teaching of Miyamoto Musashi. I follow his teaching a lot because it's very Eastern Stoic. It really forces me to think on a very deep level. Anyways, one of my favorite saying is when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So as I get older, I don't have the physicality now to spar, to grapple hard. And sometimes the younger students dismiss that. I would give them insight or knowledge or certain things and they poo-poo it. So I'm very careful of the gym I go visit. I'm very careful who I teach now. I guess it's a different season, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've seen it all. And it's kind of saddened me that other than a few students who totally embraced or understood what I was teaching, most don't. Most come to me because I have, people who don't know how to strike will come to me and say, I'm a great Muay Thai instructor. People who don't know how to grapple will come to me and say, I'm great at teaching grappling. People who don't know how to do judo throws will come to me and say, oh, he's great at doing judo throw. Only a few come to me and say, you know what, this guy has really interesting insight on things. I want to hear what he has to say. And yeah. So, there's a lot of things going on in my mind. I feel about the way I've been teaching martial art, the way I've been coaching and stuff. And maybe because I'm older, maybe I feel I have so much to give and I'm more careful who I give it to, and, I'm 52 now. I might have maybe another 5 to 8 years where my body can still move. Then after that, students who come to me, they might not even appreciate what I have to offer because I will lack the physicality. I remember training with an 8th degree judo instructor, former Olympic coach. He wrote like 5 books. And when he teaches judo, he will walk like this. And he will get 2 people to demonstrate the throw, and he will guide them. And it goes extra slow if everyone's a beginner because he has to literally guide every single hand position, foot position, and I soaked it up. I soaked it up. And at the end of his teaching career, no one really trained with him because he was so old and fragile. And I tell myself, man, so many people are missing out on all the knowledge that he has. You just have to be patient. Anyways, I probably will do martial art till the day I die. I probably will be more reserved on who I teach. And I'm going to have maybe a small window to train another champion. And this time I'm going to train a champion that will be like champion of champion. I want to train a fighter who represents my ideal of combat martial art. My understanding of what it's like to compete and fight and be very cerebral, but very tactile, very strategist. Anyways, guys, a lot of rambling. I hope you guys like my background, my backdrop. I'm going to shoot more videos like this. But if you've been coaching for a long time, if you've been teaching for a long time, and you feel discouraged, despair, whatever, the martial art journey is tough. One of my mentors told me, you don't get in it to make money. You get it because you really enjoy it. You have a passion for it. But it's tough. It is tough. And it's tough, especially when you don't make any money. It's tough when your students leave you. It's tough when, people say shit about you. You know what I mean? So, but there's longevity. Guys like me, I feel like I don't have anything to prove anymore. Like, been doing this for 30 years. A lot of my students, compete at a very high level, and I have over probably 1,000 YouTube videos of me coaching and teaching. And so I don't really have anything to prove anymore, but there's still desire to continue training and coaching and proving yourself, and you have to learn to detach yourself with those egos, and it's tough, because combat sport is a very ego-driven activity, and you constantly have to keep it in check, so ego is not bad. You just have to be aware of it, and you just have to understand how it motivates you. Anyways, guys, I hope to edit this video tonight, upload it, and Dr. Gupta, he doesn't do a lot of edit because it keeps the raw energy, and so I'm not going to do a lot of edit. I might just edit the beginning to the end, and I'm going to leave it raw. Thank you so much for listening and watching.